Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Be Hoping channel where we talk all things crypto, in particular Bitcoin and Badger DAO. Today's video is to talk about the huge opportunity I see coming for Badger DAO token itself, in particular relating to its tokenomics and the type of value increases I think we're going to see, in particular in the coming weeks and months. Badger DAO itself, if you're not aware of it, it still has the best yields on Bitcoin in all of DeFi. So if you want to move across, in particular on ETH, but also on Polygon, BSC, as well as Arbitrum, if you want to stake and hold on to your Bitcoin, so you're a hodler, Badger DAO is the place to do it because that's where you get the best yields. Badger DAO is also the market leader in Convex, as well as a huge leader in the curve wars, and the rewards they provide on that are again market leading, some of the best, if not the best in DeFi, noting that that changes every week. In particular, the focus they've had, their unwavering focus on providing that yield to interest-bearing Bitcoin, is what's really sort of kept their community so loyal and kept their community so strong in the face of sometimes quite significant adversity, but has also made them an extremely profitable place for you to park your Bitcoin in the event that you're a Bitcoin hodler. So with that said, great, but when moon? So when are we going to see this Badger token go crazy? Well, at the moment, there's a couple of reasons for why the price is low. And the first of those is to do with the Badger DAO hack. So this was fairly big news when $120 million was stolen, and basically through a UI attack. The important thing to realize here, this was not a problem with the strategies. This was not a problem with the smart contracts in Badger DAO. This is a big point. What happened here was problems with the Cloudflare sort of setup for their UI, their user interface, that caused people to approve malicious contracts instead. What is most notable in this is that the TVL, the total value locked, barely budged. So the people believed in what was happening with Badger DAO well after the unlock period and all the security measures were done, and they kept their Bitcoin and they kept their CVX staked with Badger because they knew this was the right place to do it. Sometimes bad things happen in DeFi, but this is one of those places where it's like, you know what? We're such a good bunch of devs, such a good bunch of guys working on this, and such an incredible community. There's just nowhere else to park it. So that's why it's been such a positive thing. That said, though, basically this happening halved the price. So it halved the price of the Badger DAO token. And I don't think it was the community that was selling. It's most likely short-term traders that were selling this coin. So it's really been suppressed by the fear from those short-term sort of traders. The second part we're going to talk about is this. So this is whales dumping. The problem with whales dumping has essentially been because of the current tokenomics. The current Badger boost system, although it is fantastic, essentially emits the Badger token. But if you've already got a 2,000 times boost, so the maximum boost, there's no incentive for you to continue to hold on to your Badger tokens because it doesn't provide you any additional boost. So you're incentivized here, in particular as a whale who gets a lot of Badger emissions, and that's where these governance tokens are used as emissions, you're incentivized to sell it, which is going to continue to dump the price. So continue providing that downwards pressure. The problem here is that, sure, small holders, like probably most of us, you and me, are likely to only have a small amount of Badger and a small amount of Bitcoin, and then try to, bring that boost up and hold on to the Bitcoin, and the Badger. When you've got whales dumping, however, this puts that negative price pressure onto the particular coin itself. So essentially, we've got something which is providing an inflationary measure with dumping of the price going on one hand, although that's not what it was intended for, as well as the hack which has occurred in the near future, along with ongoing Bitcoin weakness. So you've kind of got a perfect storm of three things here, which have kept the value of this token down. But the crazy thing is, there's still just under $1 billion in total value locked, and the actual market cap of the Badger DAO token itself is only about 180 million. There's an awful lot of potential for growth here, in particular if you start looking at the one-to-one requirement of how it works with the Badger DAO token. In other words, to get the max boost, you really need to have the same amount locked. So it seems only logical that most people would be aiming to have at least a similar amount of Badger as they would to Bitcoin or some other aspects locked. So all that's great, but still when moon? And the answer here is to say, okay, what are some possible price catalysts coming forward in the near future that are going to bring a whole lot of positive momentum, in particular, to the Badger DAO token? The first is, and I'm going to talk about this part before we get into the big news. The first one is the ongoing and incredible actions being done by the Badger DAO team to basically continue to fight the convex curve wars and to continue to get as much value locked as they can in convex and curve tokens to provide the best yields. So Badger DAO is going to get an awful lot more media attention, a lot more people looking at it as they're searching for the best yields and what to do with their convex and curve tokens. Because if you have those things and you believe in hodling those, Badger DAO is, if not the best place, certainly in the top 2 or 3 best places that you can possibly put it. Now that includes, especially lately, outperforming Vodium, which is a very big deal. So no matter how you choose to do it, outperforming Vodium is a very big deal. The second and probably the biggest part here is the launching of what this second token is, right? The second sort of DAO. This is called Citadel DAO, and you can have a look at that on Twitter if you'd like. Citadel DAO is, there's not a lot of details on it yet, but what I can say is that it's, from what I understand at least, and I am certainly no expert on this, is that this is likely to be a Bitcoin-based sort of like ARM scenario. So what's happening with Olympus DAO, and it's pegged essentially to the DAI or the US dollar. In this instance, where it's likely to be based or pegged at least, is the initial rebase at least, the rebase token, to Bitcoin itself. This is an entirely new mechanic, an entirely new idea, which is going to enable Badger to own its own liquidity. What's important here is, you'll notice this from one of the lead guys who's promoting this coin, is that Citadel DAO itself will have its Bitcoin deposited in Badger and then hold a lot of Badger itself to provide themselves that boost. That then earns more Badger, which they will then lock. So these are a couple of key things here that are happening in this sort of update on Discord from one of the head guys. We're talking about locking of Badger tokens. So in other words, these are going to be sort of staked Badger tokens again, or locked for a certain period of time with rewards, preventing that dumping I was talking about, as well as now significant buying pressure coming in from all the new people who are looking to bring their Bitcoin across to Citadel DAO. So you've got new people now bringing their coins in, requiring the Badger, and then in particular locking that Badger, preventing the dump. So essentially all I can see here is buying pressure with very little capability for actually selling pressure to happen in the near future. So with that said, what do we need to look out for? Firstly, clearly we're after that reinforcing loop. This reinforcing loop here, once this starts, this is the kind of thing that's going to really get the coin moving. There have been some initial moves today. Some of this might just be a relief rally for how horribly the coin has been beaten down for no good reason over the last few weeks. But in particular, there's already some people who are starting to see the benefits of holding Badger DAO. So what do we need to be on the lookout for in particular for when we know the moon time is about to happen? First is the launch of the Citadel DAO. Once all that seed capital starts to come in and they're buying interest-bearing Bitcoins and placing those directly in the the Badger DAO vaults, you're going to see significant buying pressure on the Badger DAO coin. That's the first. The second piece is the implementation of Badger DAO locking mechanisms. So as you earn this Badger DAO tokens, there's an inability to sell it straight away. It requires instead staking or alternatively a locking feature to provide additional benefits, but also to prevent that dumping occurring from the big whales. The third is the increased attention you're going to start seeing, in particular on YouTube and Twitter, as well as amongst other influencers, based on the kind of amazing rewards that are coming out as a result of the curve wars and what's happening with convex yields. Badger DAO is right up there at the moment. It's just not getting the credit it needs for it, which is quite surprising, to be honest with you. But as you start to see that happen in the near future, you're going to start to see a lot more positive buying pressure really heading towards the Badger DAO token. So to my mind, this looks like a great opportunity to start accumulating or DCAing into Badger DAO token. I think it's a great opportunity. That said, though, of course, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is just for entertainment purposes, but this is my take on where Badger DAO token is going. Anyway, thank you all very much, and I'll see you in the next video.